now to the business of the day. It's my great pleasure to invite our Chair of the Day, Jim Orchard, to the podium to take over today's meeting. Thank you.
We have Anton here. Anton's the Victorian General Manager for the Smith family, and he's going to talk to us about the impact of COVID and remote learning on the kids that are from disadvantaged families that he's looking after. And we're also hoping to link into Annie, as was mentioned before, so we'll see if that works. But if it doesn't, we've seen Annie. She's a real live Learning for Life student that we've done our little bit to helping, people like her and others, work through the education system. Thank you. Anton.
Well, what an absolute delight to get out and about in Melbourne, come to such a fine facility and spend time with you. It's very special, and to be with long and true supporters of the Smith family starting back in 2009, it's a dynamite occasion as well. Thank you. I start by acknowledging the lands on which I meet with you today, the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respect to the elders past and present. Likewise to Adrian Nelson, family friend from way back, united through cycling with holidays around the south coast of New South Wales. Extraordinary to be in the fellowship of Rotary and spend that time together. And I don't think Adrian Cloden is here today, but I acknowledge the director of the Smith family, Adrian Cloden. I will cover a recap of the sensational and evidence-proven work of the Smith family, something that you have supported since 2009. I'll prosecute our evidence base and the scale at which we work, and highlight that what was essential over the last 30 years to help break the poverty cycle got even more important, thanks a lot to the COVID disruption. And best part, I'll be having a chat with Annie, one of our 58,000 students on Learning for Life, with tens of thousands of more to come. I will just celebrate being with you, but also with strapping people in Lycra. Sensational work there, Phil and Peter, I think. Very fancy Lycra too. Every kilometre is impressive, but every dollar that you choose to sponsor your fellows with really helps make a difference. So a recap on the vision and purpose of the Smith family and the incredible scale at which we operate. True to the nature of Rotary, the Smith family was founded in 1922 by 5 businessmen who started their conversation at a pub celebrating the end of a business year and getting set for a family Christmas. And to their credit, their hearts and minds went to kids who were missing out. And the short version is that led them to be volunteers, to have an anonymous approach by calling themselves the Smith family. They then started an organisation which today celebrates its 100th year, our centenary, and we're changing lives every day thanks to the connected work that the Rotary Club of Melbourne and thousands of supporters and volunteers help across the nation. I'm confident in saying we would share the same belief, and the stated belief of the Smith family is that every child deserves a chance. Through no fault of their own, children are born into great opportunity, rich with social and professional networks, or sometimes into harder environments. And it's our work that helps connect those children to opportunities. In terms of our finances and the scale of our operation, $154 million per annum. This is a large operation all across Australia. Further, in terms of that scale, 220,000 children, young people and their parents are developed and given opportunities right across the nation year on year. We are in 91 communities around Australia, 14 of them are in metropolitan and regional Victoria. And there are 32,000 children and young people across Victoria with whom we work every day and every year. A quick recap on Learning for Life so that you understand the long and proven investment that Annie has gone through to help her realise the phenomenal stage at which she is at in life and the support that we offer to all children on Learning for Life. We're a strength-based organisation, and as a result, we don't start a conversation with families, parents and students about what's really tough, where aren't you succeeding, why do you need another benefit payment. Our conversation is focused on education. It's focused on the vision and hopes that parents and guardians have for their children. And all going well, we're able to sign those participants up onto a partnership agreement, which commits them to a contribution and commitment to our program and gives them 3 elements from us. And those elements are cash payments year on year for parents to decide how to spend it on education resources such as books, excursions and uniforms. A long-term education support coordinator. I'm not sure what it's like for you with your children and grandchildren, but navigating the education system is pretty complicated. Realising you need to make important subject selections in years 7 and 8 to fulfil your VCE is not appreciated by everybody. And it's those sort of simple conversations year on year that we're able to step parents and guardians through. And then we have 20 wraparound programs on offer to students. Now, at its heart, the Smith family is as simple as encouraging and enabling vulnerable kids to get up and go to the school at the end of their street every day. It's really not about us, it's about us facilitating their participation in their education. But without the resources and abilities at home, with limited social and professional networks, there can be many barriers to their participation. So we've got 20 programs that wrap around our scholarship participants through the years from preschool, primary, junior, senior secondary, TAFE and university. I can't list them all. You'd possibly fall asleep or get too excited about it. I will just highlight a couple. Student to student, you volunteer and have that privilege of giving to those who would benefit from your support. And we give that opportunity to primary and junior secondary students by having them volunteer to listen, to pause, prompt and praise kids in our student-to-student program. We help students catch up by 2 years when they've slipped behind in their reading abilities. We facilitate learning clubs because students who are typically in single-parent large households with limited space and resources do not return home from school to a rich learning environment. And so being able to go to the school library or the hall and apply their studies on curriculum from that day really helps their learning. Career pathways are informed throughout life, and our study highlights that vulnerable students start to shut down on their career opportunities in primary school. And so even in primary school, we've got career prompters for students to think, oh, I could do that job. I could think about going to TAFE. To prevent them shutting their minds down. Digital inclusion, Aboriginal girls programs, tertiary mentoring, career mentoring and financial literacy for parents. These are all proven elements that help people unlock their opportunities and succeed in education and into adult life. A couple of the stats, I talked about being a strength-based organisation, but the reality of the bulk of our participants sees 70% of their parents are not employed. So those kids trying to get up and get to school each day are not watching mum and dad get up and go to work. And that's a pathway that they need to see and realise could be theirs. 20% of students have been at 4 or more schools in their educational period. And when you think about leaving one school and going to another, having to learn how to navigate, find new friends, learn the teachers, that is a real blocker to educational outcomes. 15% of vulnerable students across Australia do not have digital access. When you think of how your life changed, pivoting to the digital, how your business and your children and grandchildren's life changed, pivoting to the virtual, imagine not having devices or being able to afford data to have that virtual connectivity that kept us going strong throughout the world's longest lockdowns. So as I already said, not a benefit payment, but a signed partnership agreement between guardians and parents with the Smith family to be awarded a scholarship and to contribute to their kids' education. Jim highlighted that we are evidence informed. Sure, it feels good to do what we do, but the evidence is clear that children on Learning for Life have better outcomes than their peers. We measure that on 4 elements: completion of Year 12, engagement in university, advancement through university, and ongoing employment thereafter. And our evidence, as I've said, highlights that Learning for Life students are outstripping their peers unable to come onto our program. Just briefly before I go and have a chat with Annie, some call COVID the great amplifier, and I've already taken your minds and hearts to what it was like in those lockdowns. Wasn't a lot of fun. It was pretty heavy duty. Me personally had a house and a network that enabled me to find some good parts in my life. But when I spoke to one of our support workers in Shepparton, she talked about single mum, 8 children, commission house, 2 bedrooms, 1 smartphone, doesn't read and write very well, needs to take her child to the children's hospital once a month for chronic care. She was doing well to get her child to school before lockdown. When she's told to homeschool and read the emails and step her children through physics, French, maths, English, that's a hard gig for any of us, let alone a low-educated parent. So 3 little micro case studies. Learning for Life families being encouraged to continue their learning, and even though they didn't have data, the school suggested that their best option was to park in the school car park and connect hotspot to the school's Wi-Fi. Now, what do you do with 8 kids? Who goes in the car? Who uses the phone? Year 12 student trying to complete studies on a smartphone with younger siblings in the background. And the challenge for our team members, we're highly geared to work with as many students as possible. We expect our support calls to last 10 to 15 minutes. It's a personal service. When we were speaking to our participants, they were wanting or needing to speak to us for an hour. Very stressful and challenging for our workers, very hard for the parents going through that process. So, your contribution to our proven work is making a difference. As I think Jim highlighted, you have given us $250,000 since 2009, and I hope you're reassured of how that contribution is making a major difference. It's essential that we receive those funds, of course, but what I really celebrate with the Smith family's approach is the connectivity between people. Your volunteering, your writing brings you up close and personal to who we are and what we're doing. Our conversation with Annie will bring it home to you as well. It's not just about the money in the envelope, it's about volunteering and connecting so that we don't end up with a polarised society in Australia. COVID did cancel your meetings, did cancel face-to-face activities, but you continued to fundraise for us, and we really appreciate that. And what it's enabled the Smith family to do is realise that with not 1.1 million children and young people living below the poverty line, but now 1.2 million, we have to grow wherever possible. And so our new 5-year strategy will see us move from 50,000 students on Learning for Life over the next 5 years to 100,000 children on Learning for Life. And it's the long-term confident giving that we receive from you and thousands around Australia that gives us that confidence to take that brave step of signing more families on to Learning for Life to achieve those proven results. So a very big thank you. And now to bring it to life, I'll have a bit of a conversation with Annie if we can wire her in. Oh, hello, Annie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're going to turn you up if possible. Annie, are you able to see people in the room?
No, just you and the lovely people on Zoom.
No worries, that's fine. It's me, Annie, Anton. I'm General Manager with the Smith family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Whereabouts in Victoria are you today?
I am in Clayton, if you know where that is.
Clayton.
Yes.
Clayton?
Yes.
Yes, we know where Clayton is. Yeah, we're very worldly here. We can almost see Clayton from here.
you?
We are in the heart of the city,
Oh,
watching the rain pour down because it's Melbourne.
hello everyone. I can see everyone's face now.
Oh, lovely. Annie, we really appreciate you tuning in and having a chat today. You're the face, the beating heart of Learning for Life. You're representing, no pressure, 50,000 kids around Australia. Just want to introduce yourself, please. You know, name, where you are, you've done that, and a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, hello everyone. I'm studying at Monash University at the moment. I'm in my second years of study, and I'm studying a double degree, actually. It's a lot of fun. A double degree in education and science. It's, majoring in chemistry and minoring in maths. So I'm finding a nice balance between helping people and enjoying science. I have a part-time job as well on top of my study load. That's at Bunnings Warehouse, if any of you know that one. And I lived in Mount Gambier. I grew up in Mount Gambier. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. It's quite a small town in South Australia. But I moved here to study at Monash because Monash seemed like such an amazing, prestigious school, and Melbourne has some great learning opportunities. So I moved here for my university studies. What else? Is there anything else in particular you'd like to know about me, Anton?
That's a lot. I'd love to be served by Bunnings by you. You're making me think of the Blue Lake at Mount Gambier. Double degree. Nice work. People are already applauding you, Annie. When did the Smith family come onto the scene? What was life like before and after connection with the Smith family?
Well, for me personally, I actually joined the Smith family when I was in primary school. Like, I believe as I started primary school. So I don't have the big, I don't have massive memories of how life was before Smith family, because fortunately, my older brothers, who are about 7 or 8 years older than me, were recommended the Smith family when they were around mid-primary school by our school's principal. She's a lovely lady. And so my mum got me on the program as soon as she could when I was in primary school. I can only imagine that because my mum was a single mum, I didn't know about tax family benefits, scholarships, any of that stuff when I was in primary school. But I know that I had a wonderful life. And as I grew up and I was able to start doing student profiling for the Smith family, my mum, made me aware of the contributions that were given to me, the scholarships, the fact that every year my schooling was paid for by the Smith family, my essential items. And so to answer your question, I'm not 100% sure how life was before the Smith family for me personally. For my brothers, I can only imagine that it was more difficult because my mom was looking after 3 of us with less financial assistance. But certainly as Smith family joined my life, I was made very aware of the contributions of wonderful people out there who are making my mom's life that much easier.
That's brilliant, Annie. And when you look back and right up to today and into the future, are there specifics that come to mind in terms of what the Smith families helped you be able to do, what might not have happened without the Smith family's support?
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously the physical things such as, books, uniforms, even things like my laptop in high school. My generation, unfortunately, we had to get a laptop when we got to high school. And so, things like that really helped. I even still have my laptop today. It's lasted me about 8 years. It is slowly dying, but it's there. So physical things like that, but also extracurriculars, for example. So as I grew up, I was involved in many extracurriculars, mostly around music. I've played violin for about 9 years now. I've been singing, especially private singing lessons, since about year 3 or year 4. And I can only imagine, as I started paying for them myself when I became 18, like a full adult, and I started paying for my private singing lessons. It was about $40 an hour. So I can only imagine every week my mom having to pay for that. And I genuinely believe that there was a certain point when my mom said, you know what, I'd love for you to do as many extracurriculars as you can because I can afford it. And I believe that that was because of the Smith family. And I really appreciate it because every week I did 2 to 3 extracurricular activities. And it's really helped me develop my passions in life as hobbies, in particular music, musical theatre, singing in groups. And yeah.
Unreal. Annie, with an eye to the future, you've got some choices out there, science, music, teaching. Do you know where you're heading? You don't have to, but any thoughts?
Yeah, well, obviously I have to brainstorm what I'm going to be doing in the future once I graduate. Hopefully with my teaching degree, I'll be a teacher at some point. I really love that. As I've been going on placements for uni, I feel like I've made some impact in some kids' lives. Even in the Smith family, we did the student-to-student program, as you mentioned earlier, and I was a mentor and teaching. I believe the kid's name was Sean, actually. Yeah, Sean. I taught him, I reckon, around in year maybe year 7. I was early high school when I was involved as a student-to-student so I involved in the teaching is a really big passion of mine, and helping other people, and I do believe that the Smith family has helped me see that.
Unreal. And Annie, is your mum proud? That's a leading question.
I mean, she says she's proud of me. I hope that that's true. She's proud of me and my older brothers, who are both very successful and were also supported by the Smith family all the way up through their university degrees, even tertiary education. Yeah, I believe she's very proud of us.
I should think so. Thank you very much, Annie. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Annie. I really appreciate the opportunity. What I get excited about is you hear about teachers shortages, psychs, scientists, etc. They're just the sort of graduates that we're enabling to fulfil their futures. So congratulations and thanks, Annie. And thanks everybody at Rotary Club of Melbourne. Cheers. Thank you.
There might be a time for a question or two. Before I ask a question, just make the point that the sponsorship donations are tax deductible, if that helps you adjust your amount. Sue?
Thank you for the presentation. One of the things that interests me is how the children are identified. Does that come through the school? And if so, it doesn't come through every school, does it?
Yes and no. Learning for Life is an individually targeted program. Our theory of change is per individual, but we want critical mass. So we partner with families on Learning for Life, and we partner with schools to facilitate Learning for Life. So we sit in Northern Bay College, we sit in Shepparton Secondary School, we sit in Wyndham Bay Primary, and we ask teachers to think about those vulnerable families at risk of just not making it each day, because we can't bring school refusers back, but we can stop children from falling out. And schools then nominate them to us, and we talk to them individually and confidentially and sign them up in that way.
But it's still only some schools.
Yes, we know what we can and can't do. There's a threshold to what we can do. So it's through those partner schools for the long term, rather than randomly distributing funds with a good heart but a small mind. So just those kids in those partner schools for the long term. If, however, and vulnerable people are very, they move around a lot, the scholarship still follows them. They don't lose it just because they have to pack up and go.
One more, okay, let's, why not?
Sorry, Anton. I just had a question. I actually have a bequest in my will to the Smith family, and it's only because I've been making donations to foundations that I know we can make specific bequests. I'm not sure if you know the answer. If not, we can take it offline. But so could I actually bequest to Learning for Life rather than just a general bequest?
Yes, you could do that. You can specify your gift, and there are other vehicles for you to have perpetual scholarships, etc. People memorialise dear ones and lost ones. So let's have a chat.
Okay, I'll get into trouble for running over. So thank you very much, Anton. We have a small gift for you. It's not Lycra, but it's something even better. It's a pair of R100 socks made by Phil's company, Wilderness Wear. So once again, thanks to Phil. So a reminder for next week, we're meeting here again as normal, and we've got Amanda Vent, that's the Governor's. I'm just making sure I've got all this right, so don't miss that. Thank you very much for your sort of time and attention. One more call for volunteers. It's a great partnership we had with Smith Family. Plenty of opportunities to spend a few hours on a street corner, waving your hat and collecting some money for the Annies of the future. So without further ado, let's stand and close the meeting.